I'm talking about decks today, when am I not? This color palette makes my inner child so happy. It's beautiful, it's wonderful. We love to see the magpies. I love me a weird deck. Hello everybody, it's Sylvie. Welcome back to Tarot Magpie. I hope you're doing all kinds of good today. I'm talking about decks today, when am I not? I've got 10 of my most beautiful decks, the decks I love to look at, and I'm going to share them with you. I wanted to film something that I would really enjoy filming and that would just be a nice time, because let's face it, the world is not great right now. When is it ever? But that's what we're doing. We're going to look at some gorgeous decks. We're going to spend a little bit of time just relishing in some lovely artwork, some beautiful colors, and I hope you will enjoy. So first of all, I want to know how many of these you can guess. Let me know in the comments how many of these were really obvious Sylvie picks. But I've loosely split this into 5 decks with just gorgeous color palettes that I absolutely adore, and then 5 decks that I think are just completely stunning. So I'm going to start with the color palettes because that's what is directly in front of me. I'm going to start with this one. This is the Spring Wait by Tarot Collectibles. I did an unboxing of this when I got my copy, I think it was last summer. This has beautiful colors. It's also sparkly, and it just brings me so much joy to pull this deck out and use it. And the colors in this are just absolutely gorgeous. There's a little rainbow in every card. Maybe not every card because I don't see one here. There's rainbows in lots of the cards, but it's you know, it's spring themed. It's very like British springtime. We've got daffodils everywhere. There's like cows. But like, do we see these colors, these beautiful pinks and purples in the Four of Swords? I think it's the Two of Cups maybe is also completely gorgeous. The Two of Cups or the Four of Cups. But there's these beautiful saturated colors, and there's butterflies everywhere, there's rainbows everywhere. This is the Hermit that I chose. It came with 2 different hermits, and I like this one because I liked it more. I don't need to qualify that, but yeah, like the skies are just gorgeous. Let me see if I can find, there we go. It's the Four of Cups. It's the Four of Cups with these pinks and oranges in the sky. The colors are just so yummy. I'm gonna say that for the next, well, probably for all of them, but specifically for this first section of decks. Like, this is so British springtime. Okay, so that is the Spring Wait. This is maybe, actually I think these first 2, this and the one I'm going to do next, are the most like Sylvie coded decks in terms of their color schemes and like the shininess. So Spring Wait. Did you guess? Did you guess? This is Zeke's Arcana. This is out of print. You might still be able to get some copies, but it was, I think I got this last year. I got this in like December. Who are you? Why don't you wanna come out? Ooh, the King of Wands didn't want to come out and play. Okay, do we see the pink? Ooh, it's gorgeous. Okay, yeah, I bought this last year when she announced that she was no longer going to be printing and selling them. It was going to go out of print. I've had my eye on this for quite some time because, again, like, look at it. It's the pinks and the purples and the turquoise. Like, come on. It just makes me so happy. It makes, like, this color palette makes my inner child so happy. It's like yummy and bubblegummy, and like the color palette is like pop music color palette or something. I don't know, there's something there. There's something inner child, pop music, bubblegummy. It's gorgeous. Also, I just love the art in this deck. I think it's so cool. It's this like magical girl kind of vibe, especially in the wands suit. I can't tell if we're in focus or not. It's kind of pips with feelings. And then we've got just like some weird shit going on. I love this death card. There's this very like alien vibe to it. I love this Ten of Swords. I love the bugs everywhere. I know that not everybody's a bug fan. I quite like a bug in imagery. I'd rather not have them in my house, but you know, the Northern Lights here in the Five of Pentacles, like, it's beautiful and it's weird and wonderful. And like I say, these colors, like I can just do like this, and it makes me so happy to look at this color palette. it's tasty. And again, these pink edges also bring me just so much joy. So yeah, this and the spring weight, what I want things to look like all the time, if at all possible. So these two next to each other, I feel like they're just such archetypally Sylvie decks. Like I love me some dark and moody stuff, don't get me wrong, but in terms of just the visuals, these two speak to my little magpie soul. So that was the spring weight, and again, that is the Zeke's Arcana. Oh, and the holographic, the holographic, I don't know. Yeah, you can see that color reflection, can't you, on the back? So you've got like the sparkly spring weight, and then the holographic backs and the pink edges. Moving on, the Navigator's Tarot of the Mystic Sea. I reminded myself about this deck when I pulled it out last week for the Unlock Your Decks tag that I did. And I just reminded myself how much I adore the color palette in this deck. It's rich and it's saturated and it's bright, but it's not like neon brights like the Zeke's Arcana deck is. It's just, oh, I love this. It's saturated rather than bright, you know? This has got to be one of the most gorgeous Empress cards. One of the things I particularly love about the colors in this deck is that each card has a lot of different colors. It's not a restricted color palette. Like here in the wheel card, there's these yellows and purples and reds and pinks. There's oranges down here. There's some like greens and like pops of blue. And then, oh, this Queen of Swords. She's just fantastic. But there's, what's the word for that? Like a diverse color palette. And then like something like this is a little bit more simplistic with their complementary colors. And it's just, I just think it's really beautiful. This is gorgeous. The colors on this are stunning. I think the use of color in this deck is really, really, just really, really gorgeous. Like the illustrations, again, they're weird, they're wonderful. It's something that I like in a deck. I love a weird deck, but the way that color is used, like this is very weird and wonderful and a little bit like sci-fi, a little bit surreal. And then Zeke's Arcana was also kind of like alien and weird, but they utilized color in a very different way, and they're both really impactful in a different way. I think the color really adds interest to these images. So, Navigator's Tarot of the Mystic Sea. Next up, to be clear, I could have chosen so many different decks with color palettes that I like, but here we have the Gay Marseille by Charlie Claire Burgess. This I backed on Kickstarter last year. It shipped in the spring this year. I think that they've got, I don't know if they've currently got them available for purchase, but I think they're intending to make them available for sale. I'm not sure. I'll link below if I can find either somewhere you can buy these, or if I can find if they've posted or announced anything. So this, first of all, absolutely beautiful, absolutely wonderful deck. Gorgeous. I love all the details. I love all the little flourishes in the pip cards. It's a fantastic Marseille, in my opinion. I'm not particularly well versed in Marseille, but I think it's incredible. I love how gay it is. That is the whole point of the deck. But the colors is specifically what I'm focusing on here and why I pulled it in for this video. So first of all, we have the backs. The turquoise, the pink, the cornflower blue. It's delicious. And I just think it's so much fun. The way that color has been used, particularly in the minors, in the pip cards, which can be a little bit dull and boring in a Marseille deck because traditionally you do just have the pips. Like I say, they've added these little flourishes in, these little extra bits of illustration. But let's see, where are some more? But the way that they have illustrated, for instance, here we've got the wands and the swords. You've got a bit of a specific color palette for each. Like there's a lot of these purples in the swords cards, and that is mirrored in the court cards as well, which I think works really nicely. It differentiates the suits in a kind of subtle way. It's not a completely different color palette. Like, you know, we've got this pink throughout and this like turquoisey, not quite an aqua, it's like a turquoisey color is is present, but here we've got like one of each suit. The colors are bright without being garish, which is another thing in a Marseille deck. I think a lot of them either they're more that historical traditional style wood block printing where it's all very faded and muted. I've seen some more modern Marseille decks where the colors are just really kind of bright and obnoxious, and this, I think it's got the bright, and like this could be a little bit obnoxious, but it's not. The tones that they've used are really lovely. Again, the reds, the purples, and the swords. I just think that's so beautiful. So that is the Gay Marseille, a wonderful, wonderful deck. I also do kind of appreciate that it's very specifically a gay deck about queer history, and it's not just using the like pride flag colors, which is a bit of a breath of fresh air. Don't get me wrong, I love an obnoxious rainbow as much as the next gay, but it's nice to see something that is by a queer person, for queer people, about queer history and the queer community, and it not be like plastered with a rainbow flag, because that gets a little bit tired. We have got the trans colors throughout, like here we've got the trans colors in the arrows here. That's nice. So anyway, that's the Gay Marseille. I love it a lot. I've talked about it a lot this year since I acquired it, and I guess I'm just showing you the rest of the cards because I can. I love this so much. Oh, it's fantastic. I am a Charlie Claire Burgess like fan person anyway. Like that little like magical swirl in the Page of Cups. Oh, anyway. The fifth deck that I pulled specifically for the color palette is the Witch Sister Tarot. Specifically, okay, it's this like it's rich, it's saturated, it's deep. These turquoises are gorgeous, but the colors that I particularly love in this deck, it's this like kind of sap green, and then this like smoky lavender purple color, and I like, come on, this is gorgeous. But I think the use of color in this deck, there's some beautiful turquoises. This color combo just is delicious and makes my brain feel all fizzy when I look at it. But yeah, these are such beautiful, it's deep and it's dark without being like desaturated and boring. I think a lot of decks do that. A lot of decks want to be a little bit shadowy, a little bit, you know, dark and moody and interesting, but then it's just kind of grey. This, however, who's Julia Jeffries is the artist. I think she really hit the nail on the head. She really did something. And then like these pops of like gorgeous bright color. Like this is inarguably a beautiful bright turquoise, but it doesn't feel like a really bright poppy image. Her artwork is just stunning. The way that she uses color is just stunning, and I think she did a really good job of creating a deck that's got some depth. It's got some edge to it, which is partly to do with like the way the portraits are drawn. Like it's got teeth, you know, but she's also done that with the colors and the way it's a little bit dark and mysterious. It's not gray and boring. Like it's still just gorgeous artwork to look at. And like I say, the sap green and the smoky purple, it's delicious. Okay, I'm done talking about colors now because I'm getting a little bit repetitive. I think her artwork is just stunning, and I think the use of color is a significant part of that. All right, the next 5 decks, there is significantly less rhyme or reason. They are just 5 of the most gorgeous decks in my collection. And I am going to start with this one, which is the Sistine Tarot. I couldn't not include this, but I am sorry, this is also out of print. She did a very limited availability for this deck. I managed to get myself a copy, and as far as I'm aware, she has no plans of bringing it back. But it's gorgeous, and I couldn't help but shout about it in this video because I think it is so beautiful. It is no secret that I love a collage deck, but like, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. I love a lot of the motifs that have been included throughout. We've got roses everywhere. There's a lot of like pink and soft colors. I just adore this so much. It's also really clever. And like I say, no secret that I love a collage deck. There is one more collage deck in this little selection. Points if you can guess what it is. I could spend forever on these images, and I think one of the reasons this made it into this video, and again, this isn't like my only beautiful decks, it's just the ones that were speaking to me when I was rifling through my collection. I think it's the theme. It's a very cohesive deck, and I feel like you can tell that the aesthetics were a significant part of this. And not to say that that's not the case with other decks, but I think sometimes you can tell a creator was really focusing on, you know, the symbolism that was included, or they were really focusing on like a color story or some kind of theme in the meanings. And not to say that this doesn't have that, but I feel like she was very intentionally creating an aesthetic with this deck, which I love. I'm a Libra sun, so it's gorgeous. Yeah, I'm a Libra sun, so I live for an aesthetic. I love to collect and curate myself, so this just really hits the spot for me. Love these two together. So yeah, this is the Sistine Tarot. It's absolutely beautiful, and yeah, the aesthetic is just gorgeous. All right, the Marielle Tarot. This also has a really gorgeous color palette. I speak about this frequently, but it's this like hot orange red next to the turquoise, next to these beautiful blues that are throughout, like the Hanged Man and the Chariot, not the Chariot, the Nine of Wands in particular. Like, look at these colors together. They're beautiful, they're incredible. Each of these cards was an oil painting that she made, and I think you can tell this was a real labor of love. Again, like the blue and the orange are just so good. And I just think this deck is so beautiful. I think it is so skillfully done. Again, that color combo. This is a tricky one to read for me. I think it's a tricky one for a lot of people to read. There's a lot of like, there's a lot in this. There's a lot of like Christian stories, imagery, lore in here. I think there's a lot of Hebrew stuff as well. And how have I only just noticed this? Okay, so like spoilers, I guess, for Nona the Ninth of the Locked Tomb series by Tamsin Muir, where Kiriona, I haven't read it in a while, that might not be right, is described as having like teeth in her chest. This is just so beautiful. This art is just so evocative to me. I do sometimes feel like it's really difficult for me to read intuitively, but this is one of the decks that I can just get lost in the images. Like I say, I think they're so skillfully done. I just think they're absolutely beautiful. I do think the color choices are amazing. This is like the only purple card in the deck, and I think it stands out to me every time. I could very easily have put this in, chosen this for its colors, but I also do love the individual images as well. Not to say I don't love the individual images of the other decks, but you get my point. It was a very loose categorization that I was using for these decks. So the Marielle Tarot. Okay, this is also pretty purple, but it's not entirely purple. The Marielle Tarot. Okay, next up, the Dream Vision Tarot. This is the second edition that was on Kickstarter a couple of years ago. Beautiful, beautiful backs. Oh, I was watching Sapling Tarot, Imogen's channel, looking at some indie decks that they won, and there's a tin edition of this, which I just think is the cutest thing. So anyway, look at this art style. This art style is just so cool. I love the slightly like sci-fi alien vibes, like some weird sci-fi strangeness. I love me a weird deck. It's so beautiful. That's really all there is to it. This is a deck that stays in my collection partly because it's gorgeous. I've never seriously considered getting rid of it. Quick shout out for this because the pink and the orange is just everything. I've never seriously considered getting rid of it, but I did bring this up. I think I did a video of like decks that need to earn their keep or decks that I haven't used in a while, and I very quickly was like, no, what am I thinking? This isn't going anywhere, because I do really love reading with it, but also it's just so beautiful. Come on. It's so beautiful that I would keep it just because it's stunning, because I love having this little art collection of 78 pieces of art. I love this Six of Swords. I do love this deck. I think it reads really well, and I just think it's so gorgeous. It's close enough to human figures that you can see them as people. Like, you know, these are recognizable hands. It's a face, but they are abstract enough that they are not looking at me, which is something that I've talked about before. I don't like decks that are too realistic people-y. I don't really like decks that are like photographic, although I since have acquired a couple of decks that sort of break that rule. I think that would be a cool video, my like things I don't like in a deck and the exceptions that I've got. Was that a tag that was going around at one point? I will have to look that up. Maybe that's something that I will film, but they don't look too people-y. So even though they're like looking right at you, this isn't someone I'm going to see in the street, is it? Because it's like a purple blob person. So it reads really, really well for me. I think this art style, this like kind of, I don't know, spray painty kind of art style is really gorgeous. I will say I am noticing, after having had this for a couple years, that the blue edging that does look really stunning, this matte blue edging, is kind of coming off a little bit on the cards. I'm noticing in the corners, but anywho, that's fine. It's well loved. So yeah, it's beautiful. No more to be said. I just wanna look at the sun. Oh, it's gorgeous. I feel like this vibe, this like gradient aura thing is like such a trend at the moment. Probably not at the moment, probably for the last like year and some change. So it really fits that, but it's just gorgeous anyway. Okay, my penultimate deck, the Ritual Tarot. Who is surprised? Who is surprised? I talk about this all the time. I am like everybody else on YouTube. I am in love with this deck. Because look at it. Like we've said, I love a collage deck. This is no secret. And there's just something about the way this is put together that is so... It's intense. It's evocative. It is seriously beautiful. Like I've said, I am not unique in this opinion. It's a bit of a tarot tube darling. Once again, a moment for one of my favorite cards in the deck, the Ace of Pentacles. My camera doesn't want to focus today, which is deeply irritating. So apologies if we're a bit blurry and a bit in and out of focus, but anywho, it's gorgeous. Isn't it gorgeous? One of the reasons this is a particularly beautiful deck in my eyes is because, you know how I was saying I would never get rid of this because I like having a little 78 card art collection. This one is this is the marked edition, so the names are kind of snuck into the back. So we've got Temperance written here, but the fronts of the cards are titleless, are nameless. They are art cards, and it just, when I'm thinking of beautiful, gorgeous, visually stunning decks, this has to be one of them because it truly is just little tiny prints. I'm now just silently flipping through the cards because I want to look at them. But yeah, the Ritual Tarot is absolutely beautiful. It's a little bit like dark and moody. It's very much a contrast to the Sistine Tarot that I showed. Like aesthetically, I mean. This one is quite dark and moody. We've got also, this has, I think the Sistine Tarot was a digital collage, but she did it in a way that really retains that analog look. But this was an analog collage, and you can see kind of like creases, and this is my other favorite card in the deck. You know, I said like mini prints. I want a full-size print of these two because they're my favorites and I think they're beautiful. This is the Princess of Cups, by the way. I interrupted myself, not for the first time. I think it's just more obvious where there's some like cut edges where the paper's been cut, and like this you can see like the edge underneath, and you can see like fold marks and like creases in some of the cards, or you know, in the artwork that made up some of the cards. Like we've got some like creases here, and it really retains that very obviously analog is what I'm trying to get at. Wow, that was a struggle of a sentence to get out. Like here as well, the paper's like kind of buckled a bit. I really love that. I really love that it has that effect to it. So yes, the Ritual Tarot. No surprise to anyone that this made it onto my most beautiful decks list. And then the final deck that I'm going to show you is another one which is on this list just for the kind of skill of the artist. This is the Fyodor Pavlov Tarot. This is the mass market US Games edition. This is also beautiful just in production quality. Like, it's a beautiful object. It's this beautiful linen finish. We've got this gilding on the edge and on the back. What I'm here to talk about is the artwork. It's stunning. It's stunning. I love it. I think his illustration work is just incredible. That's all I have to say. I think his work is incredible, and I love some of the details I love about this deck is the way the images kind of come outside the borders a little bit, like here in the Magician. I think it's just a really nice little detail that makes for a really gorgeous deck. I love that this is a limited color palette, but each card is a limited color palette. So like the cups have these blues, the wands have these greens, the swords have this gorgeous red. I love that switch up of the color associations. Also, I think that's really cool. And then it's like a goldeny yellow. One of my favorite strength cards, hands down. The Pentacles have this golden color, and then the Mages are they're all a bit different. But I think it's so good. So yeah, this one I had to pull out just because I think his artwork is wonderful. I think he's incredibly skilled, and I just think it's gorgeous, gorgeous artwork. It's also an incredibly readable deck. It is such a good Rider-Waite-Smith based deck. It's not quite a clone, like some of the cards are quite different. I love this Judgment. It's not quite a clone, but most of the elements are there. It's definitely a Rider-Waite-Smith based deck with some sort of additional details and alterations. Yeah, it's beautiful. The Fyodor Pavlov is the final deck I wanted to talk about today. All right, so that is 10 of the most beautiful decks in my collection, and this could have been 4 times as long. I could have included many, many more decks, but this one is already long enough. So that is it from me. Let me know what your most beautiful decks are, because I'm always on the lookout for more gorgeous decks to add to my collection. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you made it all the way to the end, I really hope you have enjoyed. Let me know if you made it this far. And that's it for this video. So if you want to see more from me, please do check out my Patreon, which is always linked in the description, along with a link to my Etsy store for readings and tarot spread mini zines. Thank you so much for being here. Give me a like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.